Good morning, good morning, good morning. Another Sunday. Welcome to Lapeef Sports. I want to welcome everybody to the panel. We don't have any music and audio today, so we're just going to get right into it. I want to first send a shout out to the panel. How y'all doing this morning? Ava, Amber,
That's
Kelly,
good.
Hey, what's going
Wait,
on?
how y'all doing?
Feeling good.
How was y'all week?
It's good. Productive.
Yeah?
What's happening?
Highly productive.
Yeah, Ava, man, how's that real estate lifestyle
Amazing.
treating you, man? I know
I
you've been on the
see you.
road a
I
little
see you
bit.
killing it. Come
Yeah,
on.
man, what's going
Uh,
on?
Loan me
yeah,
$5.
we getting there. We getting there, man. It's that time of the year, you know. People are looking for their flips, and people are trying to get out of houses, and I'm just meeting them up in the middle and just making a little bread on the side. That's all.
Man, well, I'm not mad at you. First of all, I want to send a shout out to the sponsor, Tiege Henley, of course. One of the premier companies that's coming up, I think, and they're rooted in Chicagoland area. So, I want to definitely send a shout out to them. Also, make sure we're getting our tickets to the live show, April 23rd in Houston. I don't know if any of you guys are going to be trying to sign up for that, if any of you guys are in the Houston area, but definitely try to get tickets for that. Tickets are still available. Hopefully they go in nationwide, so they're going to get a Chicago location and Milwaukee location out there in Kentucky. I know Hank going to host us all at his house. So so it's gonna be
All I need is the end of the couch, bro. That's all I ask, man.
So, but yes, get those tickets to the Houston live show April 23rd. But again, I want to bring up the segment that we did once before. We woke up mad. I think it was a real cool thing, so I would love to do it again. We're gonna kick it off with Avon. It's your brainchild, so let me know. Did you wake up mad about anything today?
I actually didn't wake up mad. I woke up feeling very disappointed because at the beginning of the season, we're going to talk about these Bulls again. At the beginning of the season, we got this treat. You know what I'm saying? We like, man, these dudes is actually hooping, and we ain't seen them hooping like this in a long time. And I woke up disappointed because we got hustled. I hate getting hustled, man. And when you get hustled, you want to try to explain to yourself how you messed up is never the other person's fault because you got hustled. And that's what I'm dwelling on this one. I was like, why didn't I see this before? But I think we all got on that train and we just was feeling good and we just didn't want to. It's like when you date that person and know that's toxic for you, but you just say the life and the time together is just so fun. That's what the Bulls were this year, man.
Man, the Bulls fans was up there booing.
Now you find figuring out they got a secret family in another state or whatever.
You know what? I mean, I'll say this. I feel like if there's any time for them to be trying to struggle where they could bounce back, it might be now. Like, hopefully this is just get it out their system. By the time the playoffs roll around in like a week or something like that, hopefully they'll have a streak where they can get hot, hopefully. But yeah, it's been kind of tough. So I feel you on that. Amber, how about you?
You know what? I can't even lie. I didn't wake up mad at all. I had an amazing weekend, so I can't even contribute. I'm sorry. I'm feeling good.
That's good. That's good. Okay, well, tell us what you're feeling good about. What do you got going on?
So I went to Washington D.C. for the first time Friday. I had a client fly me out because he graduated law school, a brother. And what's so dope about it? Of course, he gave me the tour. I didn't get a chance to go to the African American Museum, but what was so dope is what I learned. He is intentionally now going to be a prosecutor. So when he said, I'm like, a brother being a prosecutor? What was he even? But he educated me that him and a couple other brothers are intentionally being prosecutors because they're the gatekeepers. They'll be able to police the police. When all these arrests and convictions run across their desk, they can clear it. For example, when they did a research in school, 4 months, it was a total of 900 arrests, whether it's ticket stops, traffic, violations. 90% of the 900 tickets were African Americans and the other 10% were Hispanics. No white kids, no white people were arrested. He gave me an example how a Howard student, a brother, was arrested. I guess he was intoxicated and he tripped and bumped into the police officer. The police officer arrested them for assault. When it came across a Black woman prosecutor, she looked at it like, man, get this shit off my desk. Let him go. give him a citation, and let him walk free. So it taught me why he said specifically needs to be more Black male prosecutors. We need to be on both sides. So seeing that just had me pumped and amped.
Man, well, salute to that. I mean, I never even thought about that. You know what I mean? In terms of the lawyer world, people just say they want to be a lawyer and you just kind of run with it. And I've always thought the defense attorney was the man you wanted to have on your team. But yeah, the prosecutor is the one that's asking for the conviction, asking for your sentences, all that kind of stuff. So, salute to that man for sure. Safe travels, when you go into that too. So Sway, how about you? How you feeling this morning?
I'm fine, man. I just wake up. I went out last night, chilling with my girl. I work all week, so this new job I got, and I get paid every week. So life is good right now. Chilling. Like I said, I come home and I have to chill with my girl. So have being pussyless for a week and then come home. Can't really be mad on the weekends. So,
man, well. Salute, man. God bless. Hey, you know what I mean? The safest place, hopefully, is at home. You know what I mean? So, can't nobody be mad at you for not being out like that. That's for sure. So, Hank, how about you? Did you wake up, man? How you feeling?
Man, I'm feeling good so far, so good, man. But the only thing I hate, man, I got a late basketball game. I wish them other times I usually don't like the early 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock basketball games, but man, today I have to do one at two something, then still have to make a road at 2 hour drive home. And I'm ready for this thing to be over with. But it's all good though.
Man, so wait, so you playing basketball? Are you taking somebody?
Man, my old ass ain't playing shit no more. I'm out.
So you the ride?
Man, I'm the cheerleader for my 16-year-old son. That's all I am, baby. Okay. I'm a supporter, a cheerleader, a provider, the financier, the caterer.
How they doing? How they looking out
there? So far, so good, man. They 3-0, so they got one more game today, and then this will get us prepped for the trip down to Kansas City in about 2 weeks for a big Under Armour showcase. Well, today's a showcase, but the one in Kansas City starts the prep for the big tournament. Hopefully we qualify so we can be in Chicago and hang out and take some pictures, and I don't know, be up and smoke with my man Avon look like that there.
Look,
you got that Cheech and Chong, baby.
Why you think I keep looking down? I'm rolling up, bro.
Dang,
listen,
I know that's
don't
right.
smoke, but I want the invite. All right.
Get some contact. I'm not mad at you.
Hey, I don't smoke or drink either, but I'll kick it with you. Don't matter to me, baby. We'll break bread.
That's cool, but cool. God bless on that. Good luck to him too. That's a lot of riding around. So, God bless on that. Kelly, how you feeling? We can hear you. Can you hear us?
I can hear you now.
Okay,
Thank you.
Great. How you feeling this morning?
I'm feeling really well. I actually was at a concert last night, so I didn't have a chance to see the game. But I do have a question. How do men decide who their team is? Is it where you live, or is it like a team that you just rock with forever, and when you move, do you change teams?
Like in the AAU type circuit, or like you're talking about or grown adults? What do you mean, or in pros?
Yeah, like a professional team. Like if you live in a certain state, it's like that's your team. How does that work?
I mean, that's how I pick my team. Now, according to my son goes whoever's hot. One time he used to like Cleveland, then he likes Gold State. Now he likes Atlanta. Who knows? Come next year, he'll find a new NBA team. I have no idea, but that's how I pick my team. What I've seen on TV all the time, was the Chicago Bears doing, CBS games, and that was it, and it stuck with me.
And I really think it's individuals too. I feel like outside of maybe your hometown team, you like an individual player. So I think that a lot of people like the Warriors because we like Steph Curry and because we appreciate Klay Thompson and things like that. We like whatever team LeBron is on because LeBron is on it. You know what I mean? Versus back in the day when we all hated LeBron, so then we hated Miami because LeBron was on Miami. So I think it's just people fall in love more with individuals versus the teams. I don't know if it's like that across sports. Maybe it's like that for basketball because I feel like I'll be a Bears fan until I die, but that's so reluctantly. So, and that's just because it's a hometown thing. I grew up that way. So it's probably a lot of nuance when it comes to your teams and the sport. It is, baseball is definitely a hometown thing. I don't really think you can fall in love with individuals in baseball. So it probably just depends on the sport.
Yeah, for me, what I see is that I think I'm from I will be the last generation of men who base their sports fandom on where they live. People move around a lot. And now the younger millennials and even the disease coming behind them, like my son, they don't care about teams. They care about the players. Like my son done had 6 favorite teams since kindergarten. You know what I mean? Like, and all the expensive shoes to go with it, the KDs, the Kyries, now Jordans. But
I think you're correct. I think it's generational. Sorry to cut
yeah,
you off because my dad grew up in the projects of Milwaukee, but we mostly lived here in Chicago. But God forbid, let the Packers play the Bears. He got on Packers, like. You see. So I think it's generational. Even my grandfather's, I was, I'm an Air Force brat, so I was born in Seattle. So everything Seahawk, I got all of it, but I'm repping everything Chicago. But my grandfather made sure I had everything Seahawk. So I think it's just generational.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the strongest dislikes, it's not so much who we like, it's who we dislike. And that for me, my dislikes are based on my childhood experiences, right? So I'm what we call a super rare individual in the city of Chicago. I'm a black man that lives on the South Side who's a Cubs fan. And the reason I am that way is because I grew up in one of the most racist neighborhoods in Chicago, and they're all Sox fans. I was in 3rd grade and I had a brand new Cubs hat, and somehow it wound up in a urinal pissed on. And from that day forward, I had beef with White Sox fans forever. Because, I live in this neighborhood where, it's mostly Irish guys. Most of them are the police or whatever, and they love the White Sox or whatever. So it's my duty as a Cubs fans to rub them the wrong way to the day they die.
The Southside Irish is a very classic group here in Chicago. So, I was in the suburbs. I'm in the west suburbs. So I'm like right on Madison. So I've never had to pick a side, but I definitely can attest to how real that is in certain parts of the city. So I feel you on that, Abe, for sure.
Everybody on the panels in Chicago?
No,
okay.
Sway, you on the East Coast, right?
Yeah, I'm not gonna dox myself, but I live in Virginia.
Virginia? Okay.
Yeah. What part? I used to live in Virginia.
I lived in Virginia, New York, and North Carolina. So basically all down the East Coast, up and down.
I think Chicago just heavily saturated the Lapeef Network.
Yeah.
Well, hold on, Sway.
That's what it seems like.
People from Carolina will take offense. You talking about us East Coast?
That ain't the East Coast. Carolina State's in East Coast. I guess that's the South. Huh?
That's the South.
Not them people from North Carolina. They'll take offense to that.
Yeah.
I'm in Louisville, Kentucky, so now. Jay, where you at?
The hat tell you where you at.
Say good morning, Jay.
I think he's from there. I think he's in. Ain't you in South Carolina, Jay?
He can't hear us. He has
audio might be messed up.
Yeah.
You got that P-Ray audio, okay.
Yeah, and it's crazy too. The other thing, because I love ranting about college sports, is the direct opposite with college sports and the pros. More people now are loyal to and at the college level, and I noticed this, and especially in mid-sized towns, I call them the minor league towns, the AAA towns, the AA towns, where like they have college towns. Those people are fiercely loyal to the institution and not the player. Like, Hank, you'll see this, man. Your kid turn into a top prospect, and every school that's after them, their fan base, oh, we love you. We love you. Let you pick that school. Let him pick Michigan over Ohio State. They'll hate that man to the day he dies. They are loyal to the name on the front of the jersey. Not
and it's a lot of them cities that are states that don't have no pro team. So
yeah,
their major colleges is their pro team. So I mean. That's when you live in Kentucky, your major
Yeah.
Kentucky and Louisville. So that's their team. That's their pro team, even though they're not pros. So
Jay, can you hear us?
He just we can
Yeah,
barely hear you, Mike. You gotta turn your
real
mic
far
up.
away. You gotta turn your volume up. I'm not sure.
I actually have a question for Kelly to follow that
Yeah,
question.
you sound far, Jay.
Do the ladies feel obligated to take on the fandom of their significant other's team?
That's a good question. Amber, you want to go first? You want me to go?
You know what? I don't
That's
think
good.
so. I think that camaraderie or combativeness or going back and forth is what's going to make the relationship spicy. Because then y'all gonna look at us like we're not real, we not die hard, we're not loyal. If we flip flop in teams, then y'all know how y'all think. Oh, she ain't loyal. She not even sticking to a team. She ain't gonna stick with me. She gonna flip flop.
That's hilarious.
No,
damn.
that way. No, we true blue, ride or die.
If she does not have a team,
Oh.
she better be on my team. So that's all I'm saying.
I would say, I mean,
grow up with a team or whatever. Okay, cool. Stick with your team. But if you don't got no team, and you, like he said, you're trying to feel obligated to be a part of ours. Yes, you better not put a fake team.
I mean,
just to be.
I don't think like if you're in a relationship and your man has a team, I don't think like watching the game with him when his team is playing is like disrespecting your team. But I still think like if your teams are playing against each other, there should be that combativeness, like in a fun, playful way. It shouldn't be like, you know what, you voted for the wrong person. Now we're not talking. You're Republican, I'm Democrat. I don't think it should be like that. But
no,
definitely,
it's fun. It's playful. Like my cousin, she's married. Her husband is a Packers fan. She was a Bears fan. So they both had their own jersey and they were bantering back and forth. It was fun. It wasn't.
Yes.
But I agree with Sway. If she doesn't have a team, she needs to ride with her man's team. I do agree with that.
I tell you this. If you ain't with my team, man, get the hell away from me. I don't want to sit with you. We're not watching a game. Nah, we're not watching a game together. Because, first of all,
you can't be like that. No.
I'm going to tell you this. I'm talking shit to you. And if you can't handle me talking shit to you, most times they can't get with me. Because I get down and dirty. I'm going for your throat.
So you're saying if she was born in New York, if she's a Giants fan for forever, her brothers were, her father was, she has all
that's cool.
She's been a Cowboys fan.
And that's
now
cool.
she gets with you, she has to just disrespect her
No.
team.
No. I want you to ride your team, but we're not gonna be together watching the game. That's what I'm telling you.
Come on, fam.
No. You go in the living room. Or you go to the basement or the bedroom.
Damn.
Yeah, I got 6 TVs. I got plenty of room. No, you go to one of them rooms.
No, if you can't stand the fire, get out the kitchen. If you gonna talk shit, she should be able to talk shit back.
Right.
Nah, Hank said he gonna be talking about your mama.
Yeah. I'm taking all shots. That's why your coach's mama, she's looking like this.
So Hank, you're saying if her team isn't playing and your team is playing, she can't sit with you and watch the game like your team?
No, she
like to support?
Look, she can watch the game with me. But don't start asking me questions and talking shit. Cause then I'm gonna get mad. Cause you know me. If you know me, first of all, you gonna start asking me questions. I'm pausing the game. Okay, what's your question? What do you want to know? And then I'm gonna answer. Then I'm gonna go back to play. But I don't want to answer questions in the middle of the game. I ain't got time for this. I'm saying you can learn more by watching. Pay attention. You'll learn. And if there's any questions ask me during the commercial break.
You better write it down.
During timeouts. But not in the midst of the game. Don't ask me like right after a big play. I'm trying like, I'm happy. I'm enjoying. What happened? Did you just see?
Sway.
Wait the time out.
Do you let your girl ask you questions and chime in and hey?
Sway about to get his ass kicked. I see her. We're about to swing on him.
So what's a touchdown? Like when they hit you with that question, how do you respond? I see Sway negotiating already.
Nah, she kicked the little thing to make my seat go down with her foot. She said, "You can turn your camera on." I was like, "Oh, okay, as long as I'm not on." And then she fucking kicked. All right, bet. No, shit. What were we talking about?
Oh no, we was just asking. When you watching the game and your lovely lady wants to ask you a question. Are y'all in the flow? Is she a fan?
What sport is it?
It's basketball, NBA Finals.
No, she can't be talking.
No.
She be doing that
We
shit.
got time for 20 questions. I know that's right.
I'm trying to show her movies. She over here talking or trying to eat food. I'm like, baby, can you just pay attention? Because you can't watch and do anything else. Because you have a heart. And she always asks me questions like, what's happening? What happened with this? I was like, if you watch, it'll tell you. Just watch it.
You don't have to ask, what did I miss?
But I mean, I can explain the rules sometimes, but if it's NBA Finals, I'm like, it would have to be if it's interesting. Like if it's one-sided, I'm like, all right, I can explain shit. I don't have to really watch. But if it's a good game, of course I don't want you talking to me. It's a good game. Right. You just see it all my emotions.
The only time when your lady might really be watching the game the whole season might be the Super Bowl, and she got to ask you, so how many points is a touchdown or something like that? You know what I'm saying? Or vice versa. It might be a sport that one person doesn't watch, and your lady might be an expert in. And he got to ask questions, you know what I'm saying?
You got to visit him.
I was watching lacrosse the other day. I wasn't sure what any of the rules are, and there was a lovely lady who was explaining the rules of lacrosse. So, it could definitely go both ways. But either way, I wanted to get into today's show a little bit. So we've seen a lot of news go on. I didn't say what I was mad at. I was mad at the Lakers. The Lakers were my preseason Western Conference go to the NBA Finals pick. And I can't believe that they completely missed the play-in. LeBron done shut himself down for the rest of the season. Anthony Davis has proven himself to nearly be unreliable. It's hard to even say what his future is going to be. Russell Westbrook was a complete disaster. I feel like if you were really watching, you might have been able to call that, but it's been all of a disaster. And they got to run it all back next year, because they're all owed so much money. So who knows what that's going to look like again next year. So as far as, LeBron being an all-time great, he's still in my top 5 all-time. But I don't know if this season is going to take a big hit to his NBA legacy and career. I mean, the Lakers did win a championship, albeit in the bubble. And everyone starts to say that that's not necessarily worth the same as a regular season championship, I guess, but that's what I'm mad at. Lakers are, pretty much collapsed at the end of the season here. Teams like the Spurs are doing better than them. So, I could not have been more wrong in my prediction this year. Hopefully the Bulls at least make it competitive. That way I have something to look forward to. So who knows? I don't know if you guys are going to be wanting Anthony Davis on your favorite team going forward, but talk about, falling over a cliff. I think that he's going to have a lot to prove going into the next season for sure. But getting into today's show, so we did have.
Wait, I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
You said LeBron is considered your top 5 of all time. Who are they again?
Wow. So my top 5 of all time, I would probably say I'll probably be Steph Curry as my point guard, Michael Jordan as my shooting guard, LeBron as my 3, Kevin Durant as my 4, Shaquille O'Neal as my 5. That's my 5, all in their primes. I'm taking whoever.
So you don't pick your top 5 just any player, any position. You just pick.
Yeah, I go off of my position.
You just go by top 5.
Yeah,
a team you put
Wait,
together.
why are you shaking your head like that? I see you.
Who?
Sway shaking his head.
You're not feeling my 5, Sway?
No.
Who? Now, who would you put up against that?
Who you got 5 scores. Who gonna pass?
What do you mean? I got LeBron and I got Michael Jordan.
What?
Both of them
LeBron will pass.
LeBron is a facilitator, and Michael Jordan until but prior to him, the first retirement, Michael Jordan was out there getting assists. I don't have the stats in front of me, but Michael Jordan was getting plenty of dimes out there. And then you got.
I would have put Kobe Bryant in instead of Steph Curry.
But I already got Michael Jordan. I don't need Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant on my team. I already got Michael Jordan, and so I don't need Kobe.
Why do you need Steph Curry when you got Kevin Durant, Michael Jordan, LeBron?
Well, because Kevin Durant is almost impossible to guard as a 4. You know what I'm saying?
I said, why do you need Steph Curry when you have you are going to let you go on, but you would have been proving my point. When you have these godlike athletes that are scorers, why do you need the guy who only thing he can do is score? He can't. Why not get Magic Johnson who can do it all? He's 6'9".
I'm going to be
That's my point guard right there.
First of all, I have not seen enough Magic Johnson to include him in my top 5. Historically speaking, I haven't seen a lot of Magic Johnson. I haven't seen a lot of Charles Barkley.
Let me even throw you another ball here. Why you shouldn't pick Steph Curry? Would you not agree that a lot of Steph Curry buckets is team oriented? Him running around off of screens. You want to have your team just setting screens for Steph Curry the whole goddamn game? Or a lot of it's going to be. I
would love to have an X factor weapon like Steph Curry running around popping threes from 40 feet. I would definitely love to have that. If I got these 4 guys plus a Steph Curry running around, I mean, yeah, I'll take that because you got to account for him. You know, if whoever you get, you got to account for Steph Curry. You're gonna put Magic Johnson on Steph Curry. Magic Johnson have his knees buckling.
You have to account for everybody on that team.
Right, but I'm saying
have not created
size. I got high athleticism and distance because Steph Curry isn't going to take it to the basket the way Kevin Durant might. So I want both of them dudes. And then Shaq is going to guard whoever your greatest center is. Shaq is going to beast that dude. So you're taking him out the question unless you get Kareem with his sky hook. That might be your only option. So if you don't pick him, then Shaq's going to beast your guy. So then you got LeBron. He's just a X factor, and Steph is my X factor. And you got Michael Jordan's will to win. I'm taking all of that.
Kevin Durant's not an X factor?
Who?
Kevin Durant's not an X factor?
Yeah, and I got him too. I got all the guys on my team.
Shaquille O'Neal's not an X factor?
I would say that if I could take those 5 and you got to take 5 other guys and you can't name none.
Okay, Kyle, who is the role player on your team?
Who's the role player?
Yes.
Probably LeBron is the role player on that team. LeBron is the dude who has to find his way into the mix versus running things. He's facilitating.
If you only picking 5, you ain't gonna have no role player.
You're full of ish because you just said LeBron's your point guard. Arguably,
you started, Kelly,
one of the greatest of all time. You just say he's a role player.
I mean, if there's a guy who I expect
so who are you going to base your team around?
Well, if there's a guy who I'm going
to start the show because of Kelly.
Who are you going to base your team around, Kyle?
If there's a guy who I expect to do some of everything,
sorry, black people. This is Kelly's fault.
Because honestly, this is how I would have went if you really want to do some crazy shit. I would have definitely gone for LeBron at the point, Michael, KD, Giannis, and maybe it would either be Shaq or like Kareem or something. Shaq is just such a force, but I kind of want to stretch the floor a little bit. So it'd be on that end. You, on the other hand, you going for something different. You just building the team based off of your favorite players.
Yeah, right. Because that's how I think about it. Yeah, because
you can't knock the man. That's his 5. That's his 5, baby.
Right.
But it would get doo-doo on. It's like
that's his 5.
I'm just letting them know.
Okay, I mean, I'm just telling you right now.
Now you know what it sounds like inside of a barbershop, Kelly.
Yeah. That's it.
You started this, Kelly. You wanted to know. Look what you done started.
So to all my black folks, my white brothers,
question. I didn't know it was gonna go.
My Cuban, Mexicans, Indians, all people. It's Kelly's fault. The show ain't got started yet. Kelly.
First topic. Let's go.
And then 30 minutes in, and we ain't got because Kelly asked this question.
Right. It could go on. I could keep going, but we're gonna leave it alone. We're gonna leave it alone.
I know that's right.
We could ask Avon what he think and then go off even more.
Please don't. We'll
do it on after hours.
So recently Giannis was in an interview, and Giannis Antetokounmpo from the Milwaukee Bucks, and he was talking about just being great and reaching his potential. And part of one of his quotes was, you don't get to your potential when you worry about the wrong things. And in the context of the question, they were asking him, does he care about being MVP? Does he care about winning things like the scoring title and all these kinds of things? And his answer was, when you're focused on being a champion and just being great overall, the goal shouldn't be MVP. It should be, the ultimate goal. So just wanted to get your thoughts on that in terms of how Giannis is developing as a player, what that kind of message maybe sends to other players. And is Giannis on his way to being that guy in general? Avon, what do you think?
I think he's absolutely right. And one of the things I love about Giannis, that what he's doing is he's kind of rebalancing the league in a way that where I enjoyed the league 19, 20 years ago, where you ain't had 7 all-stars on every damn team. You can take what you need. We were having this discussion about the Bulls, and the problem with the Bulls is the Bulls don't have a unicorn. They have some very good players, but in the NBA, to be a serious title contender, you have to have a unicorn. What I mean by unicorn is you have to have a Kevin Durant, a LeBron James, a Giannis, a Jokic, somebody whose physical attributes plus their skill set makes them virtually unguardable. There's nothing you're going to do about it. They're going to get theirs. Is what everybody else does. And by what he's saying about not worrying about everything else, I could kind of read between the lines and see how because the pressure was on at the end of his first contract to get up out of Milwaukee and go to a major market, maybe go do a super team with somebody, right? And he decided that, okay, I want to be here. I like Milwaukee. And they built around him. They accentuated everything around. They put shooting around him. They put good defenders around him. They gave him a decent big man to take pressure off him so he doesn't have to burden the shoulder of being the only rim protector. And when that thing where he's saying, I don't have to worry about those things, or I don't worry about those things, they've made it where he doesn't have to. And this should be a great example to other franchises outside of the league, like Denver. There's going to be a time when Denver, I think Jokic is up for free agency, I think either at the end of next year, right? And there's going to be a lot of pressure for him to get on up out of Denver because it's Denver. But I think a lot of these young men are starting to realize, why am I going to go do a super team with somebody? And then, if it don't work after a year and a half, we got to trade people again and we're in chaos. So I definitely hear what he's saying about focus on yourself, focus on your team. Don't worry about these bigger esoteric issues going on. As I think who I look at this is like James Harden, right? A man been on what 4 teams now, 3, 4, and you can't convince me that James Harden has never sat down and say, instead of me bouncing from team to team, why don't I sit down somewhere and try to build something around me? He's always had this, I need to go somewhere and be the important piece. And I need to have a couple of my homies with me to try to just do you, bro. He had plenty of opportunity to do that in Oklahoma City. He had plenty of opportunity to do that in Houston. We just couldn't sit still, And go ahead.
And to add to the context of Giannis right now, he's averaging nearly 30 points per game, 29.9 points per game, 11.6 rebounds, and nearly 6 assists. So he's having an incredible year. And he probably won't win the scoring title, but a debate could be made that he should be right in the conversation. But to him, he thinks that the conversation that's being had. The last couple of weeks they've been pounding it into our heads about the scoring title between LeBron and Joel Embiid and Jokic and the MVP and whatnot. And do you guys think that kind of conversation is a distraction? Because you imagine that if you're playing well, then it should yield certain results for your team.
Can I ask a question? And because obviously this is regarding sports, I definitely agree. You can't reach your full potential in any aspect in your life if you're worried about the wrong thing. However, I want to ask you all, can a player reach his full potential if he's not on a good team? Can he reach his full potential as a player and is on a really bad team?
I think that the perception that they have reached their full potential can be there because there's an example of Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook was averaging a triple-double on a team that wasn't doing that well. He pretty much won an MVP off of the strength of his triple doubles, even though, maybe if you go back and look at it, it really wasn't helping his team win. So do we say that Russell was reaching, was peaking and was, at his full potential, or was he just benefiting off of being on a bad team? So he was the star of a bad team. So I think that it's kind of twofold. You want your good teammates to bring the best out of the best teammate. So I guess it'd be, hard to say. I'd be curious on what the rest of you guys think about that.
People disrespect Russell Westbrook so much, bro. It's crazy. I was a fucking bro, before they broke up that whole thing and now they got a bunch of rookies, I was a ride or die OKC fan. When KD was hurt with those foot injuries, Russell was dropping 40. When Russell Westbrook got hurt with whatever hand or face or knee or whatever injuries, KD was dropping 40. So, like, both of those dudes were automatic buckets. Like, I don't know why people are acting so different, acting crazy. Like, Russell's like 30-something years old, and he still has the athleticism he has. Chill the fuck out.
Or even like Carmelo Anthony, too. He's another one who was, a guy who was doing really well on a team that may not have been performing that well. So you don't know if they're just the best player on a bad team or if they are individually peaking at their, highest point. So when you're on a bad team, it's hard to make that argument versus Giannis, who has a lot of great teammates, and among great teammates, he's still the best one on the team. So when he says he's trying to be the best, it's easier to believe him when he says that because he's got guys like Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday, and he's got an entire supporting cast around him.
And so then I guess to further the question, the question could be subjective, because if you're on a bad team, should you worry about creating camaraderie and building a strong team, or focus on your performance?
Well, I mean, I know to me, you would just hope that management, the coaching staff, player director or whatever, player personnel or whatever, get you the other potential players that you need to help you. I mean, of course, you always want to be at your best and maximize everything you have to the best of your ability. But at the same time, you hope everybody else who's doing their job, they're maximizing doing the best that they can to their best ability. So I need a coach to be the best coach that to the best of his ability. I need management. I need the president. I need everything in order. Everybody doing the best that they can. We got a chance. But if they're not, they just give me mediocre players. I mean, what do you expect me to do? I can't turn water into wine. So everybody's got to do their job. I mean, that's what Bill Belichick said. Just do your job.
Yeah, perfect example of that is Michael Jordan, man. Mm-hmm. People don't remember the trash bulls. You know what I'm saying? Like,
with
I was 7, 8 years old watching Michael Jordan pass the ball to Dave Corzine. You know what I'm saying? Like, most people don't even know who that is, man. But 3-4 years into it, we had decided that this man was at that point the greatest player on the planet. Then he had nothing but hot garbage around him for about 5-6 years, man. Like
Orlando Woolwich.
Right. Charles Oakley. We debated in this town about not trading Charles effing Oakley. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how much trash there was around him. I think an athlete can show their full potential on a bad team, but what it just shows you is that if you don't surround a great athlete with other complementing pieces, it won't work. I think somebody just posted Vince Carter. That's a perfect example. Vince Carter had nothing up there in Toronto. Like, what are you, the Damon Stoudemire thing? That was the best teammate he played with Toronto, other than what, Tracy and T-Mac wasn't ready for that time yet. You know what I'm saying? So, and he dragged a couple of teams to the playoffs. You know what I mean? You remember they got on him because he went to go get his degree from UNC. Well, I forget who they were. It was either I think they were playing Miami in the playoffs or something like that. And he was late getting to the game because the man wanted to walk across stage to get his degree and all that. But perfect example, they put nothing around Iverson. We're not confused about the full potential of Iverson 2-3 years into it. Man, look at the roster that he took to the finals, dog. Like, there's nobody else in that roster that if you put them in the gym right now, I'm confident they would put the ball in the hole, bro. So,
but wouldn't you say a great player would pull greatness out of the other ones? Like,
in basketball,
help them. Like, you can change your environment and like help them reach
If
their
I'm
full
an elite,
potential?
You can take it to a certain extent, though.
yeah, if I'm an elite wing player, say I'm Kevin Durant, right, and you surround me with a bunch of dudes from the Y, I'm probably gonna drop 80, but I'm probably still gonna lose. If the other 9 dudes I'm playing against are competent mid-level NBA players and he got me out there, 9 of me, he's gonna lose the game. So
what's your opinion on Tom Brady? Like, he left the Patriots and went to the Bucks, and the first year he was on the team, they won the Super Bowl.
Tom Brady's never played played on a bad team. Tom Brady's never played outside.
They had all the pieces.
He's never played in bad infrastructure. With football,
a better example might be Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers was on the Green Bay Packers. Their team wasn't that great, or at least it wasn't great compared to the rest of the higher performing teams. Considering the Packers had Aaron Rodgers, and he was able to win MVPs on a mediocre team. You replace Aaron Rodgers with some other quarterback, and they might not even make the playoffs. So and then in basketball, in regards to just making other guys better. I mean, there's a lot of stars who go to teams and, the pressure that they bring with their presence, that in of itself, a lot of guys kind of fold under. Kevin Durant was just commenting recently about, or not recently, but he once said that playing with LeBron has to be, a kind of pressure that a lot of guys may fold under. And considering the way the Lakers performed this year, again, LeBron is 37 or 38 years old, something like that. And he was in the running for a scoring title. So he's trying to play his best, at least offensively, but he wasn't really able to raise the games of the teammates around him. And, technically speaking, he had a lot of veterans on his team. So guys who you would think would already have motivation or would understand what it takes to be better. So you would imagine that they have LeBron on their team. So it might make them be more motivated, but sometimes it just doesn't happen that way. So I think it's kind of tough to say one way or the other on how it's going to go. It probably depends on the situation, who the individual star is, and just their personality. Because you think across the board it will work, but a lot of times, it ends up not working out in the long run.
I mean, if you look at most of LeBron's career at Cleveland, he drug a lot of nobodies across the line and made it to the NBA championship game.
Yeah,
his first 3 years.
Yeah,
when he lost to the Spurs, I mean, he just had a bunch of bodies. He had a sideshow Bob looking dude. He had Snow. Ilgastus. Man, I mean, these guys was just bodies, but he found a way to drag them to the NBA final. Now, of course, he didn't win, but he found a way to get them there. So, I mean, you have anomalies, situations like that can't happen, but it's not very common. It's really not.
And I think to maybe Amber's original question on just raising the play of the talent of others, you can definitely relate it to your personal life. When you're on a team and you're, whether it's the corporate world or whatever it is, you can definitely just kind of buckle down and focus on your own work and, almost make yourself unavailable for the rest of your team. Or you can be a person who's constantly trying to teach others and reach out to see if they need training. So maybe to Giannis's point, when you're focused on greatness, you may not necessarily worry about individual accolades and individual work and individual goals. You're kind of trying to keep the team in mind. And so just having the thought process of maybe wanting to make sure that your teammates are doing just as well as you, or at least you're not thinking about it the wrong way. That's where, the progress for everyone else happens. Because if you're just thinking about the scoring title, then you may be shooting shots that you shouldn't shoot, or you may not pass it when you're supposed to pass it because your thoughts are your own individual accolades versus, what the team's priority should be.
And that's a Western civilization type mindset, especially with kids, our younger players in the game. I mean, they all about trying to get their self or get theirs instead of team concept. Now, of course, you got some kids that's not the case. But I'm assuming when you make it to the NBA level, you feel like you already made it anyway, regardless of what your status really is. If you're a superstar or just a 12th man on the bench, you feel like you made it. So, you're all about getting yours and doing whatever you got to do to get whatever accolades you can get. Some of them them overseas players that they're all about team all the way through. So they somebody like Giannis, he's not worried about getting an individual. Man, he's all about winning for his team and helping his teammates get better and carrying his team along. And that's just the mindset he had. I like it. I respect that man for that, for sure. I mean, that's the type of teammate I can go hard for. Somebody like that. Yeah, no problem. Whatever you need, Giannis. Let's go do this.
Trayvon, welcome to the show. What are your thoughts here, just in regards to worrying about the wrong things? Do you think that focusing on the wrong priorities could hinder your potential, or what are your thoughts?
Now, I jumped in a little bit late. I tuned in a little bit late. How was it? You guys related this to sports in some kind of way?
Well, so the context is Giannis said, he was asked that he's kind of in the running for MVP, and he could be in the running for a scoring title. And he just said, if you worry about that kind of stuff, that'll take away from reaching your full potential. And so just, what are your thoughts in regards to, should he worry about that? Is a scoring title a distraction from the championship? And just how do you feel?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think that when you're so focused, so headstrong on one thing, in his case, winning a scoring title, you miss so many other opportunities that present themselves. So, number one, like Ink was just saying, the guys around him love him and trust him because he understands that he's a team guy first. He's not for himself. Winning a championship, team building team chemistry, because it's one thing to just win one championship, but when you're focused on everything, that can help your team win championships for years to come. I mean, look at the Bulls, right? Jordan won scoring titles because he was that great, but I don't think he was just focused on that. He was focused on his entire team and building that chemistry with everybody. So everything will fall into place, I feel like, when you focus on the bigger picture stuff.
I do believe you also have to know what your assignment or your potential is. Like, you have to know what your role is. He brought up the Bulls. So I grew up, my father was the head contractor of the demolishment of the old United Center. So I grew up going to all the games, like when it was, Mike, Pippen, Cartwright, even, when Dennis Rodman, I went to all the games. So when they came out with The Last Dance, I felt like my whole childhood just replayed. And I am actually a huge Scottie Pippen fan because everybody compares, Michael and Pippen to Batman and Robin. But no, I saw Michael as Superman and I saw Pippen as Batman. Pippen knew his role, knew his position. If he was trying to focus on getting the same numbers and accolades and status as Michael, they wouldn't be able to be in sync and play together. Rodman, yeah, he was a high hat, but what he knew to do is get the motherfucking rebounds. And he did it, and he did it well. That was his potential. So I do believe when you know your role and your potential and stay in it and maximize it and excel in it, that's going to create the team camaraderie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get them motherfucking rebounds, Dennis.
Do you think that team camaraderie is something that's overstated in pro sports? I mean, we all can see how much they're getting paid. We see the access they have, the lifestyles they can lead. Is it wrong for us to assume that that should be the motivation that makes them want to come together and do their jobs, and not so much, playing for the next man next to you? Given the current economics around being a pro athlete, is it maybe overstated that, chemistry among the team and whatnot, is that something that's needed? You can learn how someone plays. You can learn how your teammate moves. You can learn where their spots are or how they like, where they like to have the ball thrown to them. You can learn their tendencies to put them in position to do well. But in terms of chemistry, is that something that maybe we talk about too much or expect when we shouldn't be?
No, it's still a kid sport, man. At the end of the day, I know the dynamics a little bit different because now you bring money, fame, and the starism into it. But it's at the end of the day, it's still a kid sport, man. And you love doing it, and you love your teammates, and you enjoy being around them. Even if it's for them 2 or 3 hours, during that day, you enjoy it, and you build a camaraderie there, man. So yeah, I still think it's important. the chemistry. You got to have good chemistry. I believe you do. I mean, that to me, that's what's going to make a successful team. Now they'll find a way to get along, even when we have our fallouts or we have our disagreements or we fight or argue, whatever the case may be. We're gonna find a way to get past that and move on because we know we're all looking for the bigger goal, and that's to win that title.
I completely agree with Hank. I feel like if you get along and you're enjoying your team, you're gonna play better together, and that's even in the workplace. When you work with people you enjoy being around, like it feels like the hours go by so quickly. It's effortless because you're enjoying the people you're around. And when there is a break in that chemistry, you can see it. It's like I don't like him. Maybe it's the best thing to pass him the ball, but I don't want to because I'm mad at him right now. If you like each other and you enjoy each other, it makes it a smoother transition, and it's easier to win when you're enjoying the people that you're playing with.
And I mean, why not? These are the people that you spend a lot or most of your time with. You know, we talk about team. So why would you want to build something or do something with somebody that you don't really like? You know.
Well, you know, let me also play devil's advocate. And James, welcome to Lapeef Sports. We appreciate you. But
Thanks for having me.
Let me ask you a question. What about your legacy? You know, in the echoes of history, you know, Michael Jordan does have 10 scoring titles. I didn't even realize that till I looked it up. So, you know, we always talk about his championships, but he does have 10 scoring titles. So in a certain way, he was still getting his, even though he may not have even been voicing it, he was still accomplishing a lot of individual accolades. So his legacy is solidified. So how do you balance, you know, team awards versus what they say about you? You know, because Robert Horry has how many championships, but he doesn't really have any single accolades to his name. And so, you know, where does that balance come in?
Well, as long as he's getting them and on our way to glory, I don't give a damn. So be it. I tell you this, Robert Horry's name gonna still ring out. He got all them titles. His Sneal's name gonna Big Shot Rob, but his name's not to be mentioned. You know, it's gonna have to be mentioned. So as long as he's getting these individual accolades on our way to the title and winning a title, I have no problem with it. Get your money.
Look, I think LeBron James could be a perfect example of this. And this is currently what he's in the news about. You know, him passing up Kareem, you know, and getting his numbers and being an all-time scorer. And they just, you know, they criticize him either way. If he sits out, then he's not a team player. But if he goes out there and scores a bunch of points to try to propel the Lakers, then he's selfish and he's patched at it.
Right.
So he chose to sit out. Everybody's like, "No, you should go ahead and try to, you know, go for it." No, he's like, "No, I'm you know, that's beneath me. I don't need to do that. I'm a team guy." And he said that on a number of different occasions. I'm a team player first. I'm not about individual stats. I could care less. So
I agree. That's one of the. I'm not a LeBron fan per se, but I do agree with his play reflects his heart when it comes to the type of player he is. All the assists, all the you don't have to rebound. Like rebounding is one of them things from the wing or from the guard position that you really don't have to do unless you want to. You know what I mean? Like so he could have easily just been I'm gonna hang out on the perimeter and be an elite wing and not like go down there and get physical and go snatch those boards, be active or whatever. And then he's a point forward. So by nature, he's going to share the basketball. I think that's like LeBron is, you know what? I blame Gen X for this. I'm gonna take Gen X. We're gonna take the L for LeBron on this one. Okay. I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why this happened, right? Right around the time Mike retired, we got like this like generation of like hoopers who were like those, what we call them, the empty volume scores. Like they tried, like DeMar DeRozan was kind of one of like the last one to come out of that generation of where they played where I'm going to take 30 shots a game to score 22 points. You know what I'm saying? That volume score. And then we said, we kids need to stop trying to be Michael Jordan, pass the ball, be a team player. We said that shit all through the 2000s. And now when we get a kid like that, we don't know what to do. We told him to do this. This is when when we told these kids this is the type of basketball we wanted to play, then they go out and play it now. Oh, he's passive. Mike would have put up 60 on them. Like, no, this is what we told him not to do. So our Gen X need to take the L for that one, because we pounded on the table for kids to be unselfish and to buy into the team concept, and he's done nothing but that his entire career. We've never had a moment where we've ever had to, like, man, why is he taking this shot? You know, like, why is he, you know, I mean, he'll be inconsistent for periods of time, but we never have to worry about him being greedy. Our thing was always be more aggressive. You know what I'm saying?
Let me ask you this. What does it mean in sports? We talking specifically basketball. What does it mean when a player reaches his full potential? Does it mean, like I think they say in the chat, you know, personal accolades get you in the Hall of Fame? Is it the number of championships? Like you said, is team camaraderie overstated? What does it mean, light item, for a player to reach his full potential?
James, what do you think?
I would say you could tie it to Mamba mentality. By the way, thank you guys for having me. So reaching your full potential in basketball, from my perspective, would be just being the best version of whatever you could do. So tying it back to what Mr. Ember said earlier regarding just know how to play your role. Once you can maximize that potential you have, it becomes very easy. So like when you look at the Golden State Warriors, someone like Draymond Green, what does he do? Set passes. One of the key things that people undervalue is the fact that he sets screens. Those timely screens get Curry the spacing he needs to get those shots off. So within that, if you play your role, it's easy. And someone like Klay Thompson, having a two guard like that doesn't want attention, that knows how to just play defense, and a two guard too, that makes it very deadly. So when you have that two dynamics, it's hard to play against. So for me, my history with basketball, I grew up in this playing street basketball. So most of the adults I played with, they didn't like that one-on-one stuff. They say move the ball. So I learned how to cut and shoot. So in doing that, the game becomes very, very easy. Now you can utilize people different ways. So, I mean, that's just my perspective.
James, you're going to have me pulling out whiteboards over here in a second, man. He getting me deep. Pink. I'm over here. I'm looking for a whiteboard and a dry erase marker, drawing up stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? I love it. I love it.
I was gonna say I got one of these hotel notepads in here that might help you.
Yeah, I was an assistant coach 2 summers ago before I graduated in Houston. So I was coaching like 17 and up. So I've been playing basketball for about 13, 16 years now. I actually got mentored by a Black woman that saw me at a basketball court because I'm Nigerian. So she's a Black cop. She took me under her wing. She consistently picked me up, took me to the court. So I kind of grew within the game. That's actually my connection to the Black community. So in saying that, I learned a lot. And one of the youngins that was actually under me plays for Baylor right now. LJ Cryer, number 4. He actually got hurt this year, but he was their top scorer till he got hurt. So if you watch how he plays, it's exactly the same. He plays without the ball, sets screens, talks on defense. It's kind of just scoping the court, making sure everything's balanced. That's playing the game for what it is, not what you want it to be. That's why, I don't know, like all the one-on-one stuff for me, it's just tiring.
So as coaches, and this is to Avon, you two, so maybe James and Avon, and then Hank, I know you got teenage children, so, you know, I'm curious on all y'all thoughts. When it comes to what's popular in the game versus the full potential of the individual, how do you balance that? Because obviously the 35'3" is what's sexy, but you know, if you're a slow dude who really should be, you know, playing a different kind of game, how do you get kids or just younger people in general to buy into what you think their potential is versus what they think is popular just in pop culture?
And you're saying this from a coaching standpoint to see all this?
Yeah, like how do you get a kid to buy into what you think their full potential even is versus what they, you know, created on 2K as their ideal player? You know what I mean? Their ideal player is not who they are. So how do you get them to buy into what they could be? Because even Joel Embiid and Giannis have different, you know, peaks of potential. So and you don't want them to do the same thing. So how do you get them to buy into their own skills?
Let me jump on this one real quick.
Yeah, I'll let that
first. The game, matter of fact, one of the beautiful things about the game is the game will tell you, right? So, like, say you a guy who's a hot shooter, he's a good 3-point shooter, right? And we out here hooping. I'm gonna allow you that first or that second one, but then I'm gonna tighten up on you. The game is now telling you what your next move is. Now I need to learn how to drive. Now I need to learn how to use screens. And the game will tell you. And if you're hard headed enough to keep fighting the game will sit you down. And it don't get no easier the older you get.
At all.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you can only dominate off size for so long if you're bigger than everybody. You can only, shoot unguarded until the other team figures out that's all you can do. So the game will tell you what your next evolutionary step is that will you be as a individual basketball player hard-headed and not listen?
Yeah, I think as a coach, you'll be able to see weaknesses and strengths, and it'll be hard to tell a kid this, to train a young child this way, because they just don't understand that concept all the way just yet. But once we get into like high school, college, as a coach, I'm evaluating you. If you're our best rebounder on the team, although you can, you've got handles and you can go to the rack, I need you. You're our best rebounder. That's what I need you to do. I understand you could do these other things, but this is what the team needs from you.
Yeah, but the rebounder don't get they don't get the Nike shoe deal. They don't get the girls. They don't get the State Farm commercial. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I mean. Like, how do you get younger people to buy into? Because rebounds are important. I mean, they set the tone for the game. So it's not like something you could overlook. So how do you get them to really believe in something like that?
I tell you two things these young cats, they don't like to hear a coach or assistant coach or somebody say to them. One of the words is you're soft. They can't stand it. Be challenged on that. They can't stand it. I mean, you don't pull their whole card when you call them soft. They can't stand, and you challenge them on that, they're gonna go hard. And their toughness, challenging them on how tough they are. They're not playing. Man, you say those two things to one of them middle school, high school kids, and you'll see a different child, because now you challenge them. Now they're gonna bowl their back, raise up. They're gonna do something. They're gonna give you something. It might not last but a quarter, but they're gonna give it to you. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna give you everything they have for that moment, because they don't like the toughness challenge, or you call them soft. It's two worst things you could tell a child that plays a sport. So,
and also too, Kyle, I think something else is important to bring up is that I think everybody has a role on the team, but I think every role is very important. If you notice, it's not always the guy scoring the ball. It's the guys that do the little things that win big games. It's the guys that go and sit down and lock up on you from however many feet on the court. It's the guys that can snatch rebounds late in games. You know what I mean? That can box out the small stuff. So I think if you could sell guys on that, like I know plenty of guys that have gotten scholarships, college scholarships. You know what I mean? Just from being defensive minded, not being the all-star on the team. You know what I said? Doing the little things, talking, being the leader. So that's another thing that people look for.
I've been watching it all weekend. So they had college coaches up here, and you can watch. Every kid can score. Every kid can score on the circuit we on, between the Nike circuit and Under Armour or the Adidas circuit. Every kid can score. But there's little things that's going to get you a scholarship. And I promise you, that scholarship for a dude averaging 25 is no different from a guy who's getting 10 assists, 10 rebounds. There's no amount of difference. The scholarship money's still going to be the same. It's not any difference. So what does it matter? So I preach to teach my son. I said, do things that a normal point guard wouldn't do. You ain't got no point guards out there rebounding. Dude, he's averaging 7 to 10 rebounds a game right now. He's 5'11", 169 pounds. Playing against a 7'2" kid, a 6'11" kid, 6'8" kids. Guy's about 20, 30, but he's out there rebounding. He's giving other stuff, and these college coaches, you see him nodding the head, shaking, writing down in the books, setting screens, little things like that. They're not only going to help you win, but they're going to help you get opportunity. You can get a scholarship just on playing good defense alone. Because these kids are too lazy, they don't want to play it. That's the hardest thing you can ask a kid to do is play defense. It's hard. It's not easy. It's the dirty work that you got guys like Draymond Green that will go out there and do and take pride in. It's not an easy job, but guess what? You mess around, get them papers in front of them, sign today, because they'll give you opportunity. Because you can score for me, but if I get out there and play defense, man, I got to give that kid an opportunity.
Do you see that kids, kind of take that approach? Like everybody's trying to play their role, or are kids throwing up threes?
No, AAU, you ain't gonna say shit for nothing. Not AAU, man. It's every man for himself. Everybody trying to shoot the ball, But you have some kids that realize, okay, I'm on this team. I know what I need to do. For my son, he's okay with not scoring that much points because he knows I can do other things. I can rebound. I can set picks. I can get guys open. He's all about making a pretty pass. Like I said, he's a pretty point guard. He's all about making the best pass, the prettiest pass, the alley-oops and all that. He's all about that. He don't really care about scoring. I have to tell him sometimes you got to shoot because now they playing 4-on-5. So you got to at least put the threat of a shot up there so they don't sag off on you and at least go to back. You have to at least show the threat. So, that took a couple years, but by his sophomore year, he was doing what he needed to do. But now you ain't seeing a lot of guys doing a lot of that dirty work and all that. No, sir. It's all about scoring. And a lot of coaches, they like that, and you're not getting write-ups because, man, I'd had 20 rebounds, or I had 4 picks, a couple steals. Now that's not, them scouts ain't they're writing you up, asking to interview you or nothing like that after doing something like that. Now if he had 25 plus 20 rebounds, are they all over you?
Absolutely. Yeah. Actually, I agree with that. So one of the things I would say in regards to Kyle's question would be, how do you go about getting the kids to buy into that? I think it starts with the point guard, right? So when we look at the NBA, why are the Warriors the way the Warriors are? Everyone could say Steve Curry, but in practicality, we could look at what was the coach before him?
Mark Jackson.
He played with Reggie Miller, who was a slasher, right? Reggie Miller is a slasher. And when you're a point guard and you play with shooters like that, you know their movement and you know how they're gonna move. It's a rhythm that they play with. So in saying that, that's an example of a point guard that influenced the Warriors. Now, when we get to Boston Celtics, which was my favorite team, they had Rondo. Rondo is very underrated, but when he was in the Bulls by himself, he dominated. When he was with the Pelicans, he dominated. It's because of his mindset. He doesn't need the attention. He puts people where they need to be, and he does the dirty work on the side. So, and I guess when the point guards play their position, they know how to put people where they need to be. It's like, I don't have to do the extra work. You're a big guy. Post up. Here you go. You're a shooter. I'm going to wait for you to get that screen. Here you go. It's the simple things, but it starts with the point guard. But if you have a point guard that has a scorer's mentality like Russell Westbrook, it's like, it's hard to find a rhythm within the game for everybody to eat. And that just becomes, I got to go get mine. At that point, you don't have a team.
And James, you mentioned Rajon Rondo, which sparked a thought. And I'll present this to Kelly or Amber to get you ladies in. Kelly, do you think that reaching full potential equals being good at everything? Or does reaching full potential just mean master maybe one lane of skill?
That's so funny. I was just about to ask that question. The question I was going to ask is, what is the difference, or like, I guess, where do you find the balance in saying, okay, this is your role, know your role, versus if there is more you can do, like, how do you develop that? Like, okay, so you're a great rebounder, but what if you're a great shooter too? Do you help grow that part of the player, or do you just like, no, you're great at this, focus on this, be good at this, just do this? And does it almost like stifle their growth if they can do more? Like, where's that?
I'm a reverse card on you, Kelly. So what do you think? Just in general, in the professional world, if you're proficient in Excel, do you also need to learn to be proficient in Photoshop too? You know what I mean? Or do you just need to double and triple down on your Excel skills and just keep it to that? And then if you don't do Photoshop, is that a definition of not reaching your full potential? Or is it, you're just mastering the things that you're best at?
I have never been of the mindset that you should only do one thing. I'm like a jack of all trades. I feel like if you're talented and you can do it, yes, you should spend time to master what you're good at. But a lot of successful people, they don't just do one thing. I think that's the wrong mindset to have in life. Like, okay, you know what? I'm an accountant. I'm gonna be the best accountant I can be. Yes, and then that's it. That stifles your growth. Like even like famous people, they act, they sing, they model, they have perfume lines. Like they do multiple things. It's not just one stream of income. I feel like that's stifling your growth as a human being.
I'm gonna push back a little bit, Kelly, and I'm just gonna speak on my experience. And I try not to talk about photography a lot, but that's just what I do.
That's what you do. That's your passion.
What I have learned, and I have experience, and I learned this in Business 101. He said you can be good at everything, but be a master of one thing at that time and do it well. I have learned that if you focus on one thing, on one skill, it will naturally open doors to other skills you didn't even realize you had. And I'm just going to give my example. So photography is the study of light. And so because I didn't have a lot of equipment, I only had one camera, one lens, I started learning how to shoot outdoors. Because of that, I learned that the best times to shoot is between either 9 a.m. and 11 or 5 a.m. and 8. Reason being, the worst time to shoot is that in the afternoon because the sun is directly over our heads. It creates harsh shadows. Then I had to learn how to pose people. And because of that, I started studying body language. And because I started studying body language, now in business meetings, because I'm efficient with body language, I can tell when somebody's bullshitting me by the way their eyes are shifting, by the way their body is shifting. I can look at a photo of a couple and I can tell when they're struggling in paradise based on how they're positioning. And that all came from me just learning one skill of photography because the rabbit hole goes. Now I'm learning videography. I know a little bit about editing. I know a little bit about PR. And that all came from me mastering the skill of photography.
And I do agree with that. So I feel like for example, I'm an optician. So I went to school for that. I'm good at that. I have my own company. That's boom. Box checked. What's next? Like I'm always constantly growing. I want to constantly develop. I want to learn more. I want to do more. I literally feel like I'm stuck in a box if I'm doing just one thing. Like I have to be learning and doing and growing like constantly. But yes, I think you should master your craft, which I wrote down notes on when to take the best selfies.
But just even in your position, the way I'm like, because I don't know too many Black or female obstetricianists. So you can even study or teach a master class or even create a program for kids who need eyewear. Like the way just my mind works, it's so many things you can do within that profession that you're not boxed in. There's so many government contracts where kids need, inner city schools that need access to this type of education, need eyewear and things like that. So, I just believe when you focus on one, like a tree, the branch just extend out.
Can you hear me? Sorry. I don't disagree with that at all, which I do that. So I work a full-time job where I'm an optician, then I have my own company, and then I also teach courses at like the Vision Expos that they have twice a year. So I do all that, but also I write books, and I also
okay, Kelly, you sound like a hustler, Kelly. Hold up.
No, but like I feel like when you have a lot of potential, I don't think you should be stuck to just one little box, but I do think you should be great at what you love. And if you're passionate about it, I think that passion transfers over to people.
Is there a such thing as maybe doing too much just in any avenue? Like is John is trying to be a 3-point shooter and a dunker and a passer and a premier defender, you know what I mean? And well-spoken and all of that. Is that doing too much? Are we expecting him rather to do?
I mean, is there a thing as being an all-around player? Like you can do it all?
Well,
And do it
absolutely. I
well?
mean, but should we expect it? You know, is that an unfair expectation to
I
put
don't
on
think you should
anyone to,
I
you
don't
know,
think you
do?
should expect it, but if the person can do it, they can do it. I don't think you should tell them to stop. But I do think being a team player is important. So if you being your best player is affecting your team, then I think that is when you need to know your role. And I think that needs to be discussed amongst the team. Like, what are we doing today? Like, isn't what role am I playing today? How do you guys? But isn't there's like a book of plays and the coach directs you?
Well, I mean, think about it. And this is just across the board. Have you ever met somebody who, you know, you ask what they do, and they be like, yo, I'm a writer, I'm a producer, I'm a star, I'm a this, and you like, you're not going to take them seriously because they haven't
Clubhouse bio like this long, you know what I'm saying? Clubhouse bio is this long, bro.
I do real estate, I do investment, I do this.
And they got crypto. And
they got crypto, they got Bitcoin. You know, they own buildings, they teach the kids. They like, it's just not one thing. And I know I don't take them seriously.
They sound like a bunch of
That's
talents.
what I was getting ready to ask y'all.
Right.
Ladies, is that unattractive to you guys when you hear
Right.
that?
Yeah, that's the root of my question. Like, what's the difference between doing too much and reaching your full potential as just a human being in general? You know what I mean? Like, if you don't take them seriously, why is that? You know, and is it just because no person should do so much, or you don't believe that one person can accomplish that much, or where's the disconnect?
What I've seen and I've experienced, you know, a lot of people have multiple professions throughout their lifetime. Like the brother I was just telling you about, who I took photos of in DC. He's a retired colonel. He was in the Army for 30 years. But when I asked him, like, hey, you know, he said, he introduced himself like, hey, my name is such and such. I'm graduating from law school. I am about to be a prosecutor. Like that was his profession at that moment. Oh, but by the way, I used to do this. Oh, and when a conversation came naturally, oh, I used to do that. But I'm an attorney. I am a future prosecutor. That's a different level of conversation. If somebody asks me, what do you do? I'm a photographer. But if they look at my resume, if the conversation just naturally persists, also I do media directing. I do creative directing. Also, I do this. But when you meet me like, yeah, I'm a photographer, I'm a producer, I'm a director, you're overselling, and it comes up, you're overcompensating.
I guess it's almost like having a signature.
I'm sorry, I heard a lot of questions. Sorry.
What if he is all those things?
I can't hear.
He said, what if he is all those things?
If he a rapper, producer, photographer, lawyer, gynecologist, like what if?
A rapper, producer, and a gynecologist. I'm sorry, give me
and a lawyer.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
But I mean, so there are people who they have their like 9 to 5, and then there are people who are like pursuing their dreams on the side. Maybe that's not what they want to do for the rest of their life, but that's what brings in the bacon. And then on the side, maybe they do want to pursue music, so they're focused on that on their off time. But they're going to make sure they still work in their profession and they're providing for their family and they can pay the bills. But as soon as they can like supersede their income, they'll transfer over to what they love to do. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
But I think he's meaning like if we just initially meet a man and the conversation comes up of what he does and he literally lists, I'm a rapper, I'm a gynecologist, I'm a producer, why would that be off-putting? For me, it would be off-putting because I'm like, he's all over the place. Where are you going? Because you can't put all your focus on all of them at the same time. All these different professions are only getting a third of your attention. It's one thing to say is I'm a gynecologist, but I also produce on the side. It's one thing to say that, but to list 6 things, it's just impossible for all of that to get all your attention.
Wait,
it means it's impossible for you to be truthful and all of that, unless you just have.
I heard y'all want go-getters. I heard y'all want men with drive.
Oh, come on, Slay. Don't do me. Come on, Slay.
So here's what I was told.
And you want ambitious men, but they can't have 6 professions? What's up with that?
Bring the butler back. Bring the butler
back. I guess for me, like I originally got into the field of opticianry because my father was an optician. So I joined field because he made me work with him when I was young. But he was also a pastor, and he pastored a church. He also wrote books. He was also a doctor of theology. So, but he had evidence of producing in all of those areas. He was also a father of 5 children. He was also a great husband. So, and he found a way to juggle it all. So I don't know. I feel like when you
Man,
are a
So here's
go-getter, you can't be stopped. Like
hey, what did that do?
you're
Have 5
running.
times and make 5 kids?
That's from my mom. I don't know.
Damn.
And he
so
was
do
a
you
great
think that you
father.
can
So
do
I
you
don't
think
know.
that
I
you can
know that's
only be
right.
great? Do you think that you can only be great at one thing, in terms of reaching your full potential? Is full potential only reserved for one thing and then you're just good at everything else? Could that be what it's referring to? Like, okay, if you could be
Well,
a
as far as like
gynecologist and a
Amber's
lawyer.
point, like you can only focus on one thing at a time. Like that's like the definition of focus. You can't focus on 3 things. You can only fully give one thing your 100% focus. If you're focusing, if you're juggling, it's like, oh, here, and you're kind of all over the place. But if you're focusing, but I think you can be great. Like one of my sisters, she's a great basketball player. She went all the way to college and then played overseas. But she also braids hair very well. So she like takes the time to learn how to be great at that. So I think you take different parts of your time to focus. But once you're good, you're good. Yes, you can stay focused. You can be like the best hairdresser in the world. You can go WNBA. But I guess it depends on what you want out of your life. But I don't think you should be just set to one thing. Like that's not really living to
You know
me.
what? You know what's interesting
Can
about
I say
this?
something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. One thing I would say is I think to relay what Miss Amber's trying to say is essentially you have to have a signature or foundation in which makes you who you are. So I guess for me to relate it to basketball, I was a drummer before that. I used to play like the bongos and things of that sort.
And
So
you're
a
really
lot,
good.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But I also kind of like use that into basketball in regards to like so for guards to help your basketball skills get a little bit better. Your handles, you do finger drills. So you essentially dribbling the ball with each fingers. So I guess being a drummer that kind of pulled into the other realms of my life as to like engineering things of that sort. So a lot of I guess to say who I am as a drummer is to say that's how most of what I accomplished came out of. And
Yeah, but
that's
who
the
you are is
foundation.
not your occupation.
It's not my occupation, but it's still tied to like my passion, which essentially brings out the other
So your
things. Of
passion
course you
is
can't just
drumming or
be
basketball?
huh?
Your passion is drumming or basketball?
My passion is it's I would say basketball. But I injected the drumming part because it's something that's just part of me. But the basketball I kind of mix both of them because there's a I guess there's some type of like connection to like how I did drumming and how that discipline just kind of flushed into basketball also. Because with drumming, you're really just learning patterns, right? And once you get into basketball, it's more patterns. But when you look at the foundation of how I was raised, which I mean, what my initial passion was, which is which was drumming, that could be that discipline flushed out to other things. That's what I'm getting at. But with yours, it makes sense that you said your dad was an optologist, and that kind of gave you that realm into that world. But outside of that, is there anything else that's your signature that you could flesh into that also?
So my passion. I went to school originally. I was a theater major. I wanted to be an actress. I wanted to go to Hollywood. But then when I became a mother, I realized you have to make sure you do something that is consistently going to be able to pay the bills. So I went back to opticianry after school to make sure I could care for my child. But originally, so my passion is acting. I cannot do that right now because that won't pay the bills consistently. On the side, I do commercials like on my days off. I'll do, but that's my passion. But I can't do that because I have to be responsible.
Right.
So I'm not. But I don't tell people I'm an actress. I'm an optician.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
So for all the men out there, y'all be great men. Be good at everything else, but be great men.
You know what?
Amen.
Yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to welcome A and B to the panel as well. Thank you for
Hey,
coming here. I wanted to
yeah.
get you on the conversation too. What are your thoughts? I don't know how much you've heard, but just what are your thoughts on what you've heard so far?
Well, I'm still trying to catch up. So I hear a lot of sports talk. Right now, I'm an athletic coordinator, so I'm very familiar with the sports aspect in the youth right now.
So
So
I can ask you a question.
yeah,
What are your thoughts on reaching full potential? How do you get a kid to buy into the talents that you might see in them versus what they want for themselves in terms of reaching their full potential?
yeah. See, that's a difficult one because I'm still trying to master that because I'm moving with the times. So I've been doing this for 13 years, and I see that at least every 2 to 3 years, I'm having to try to revamp my my approach to get kids more interested in being great in whatever they do. So if you do choose sports, then this is how you're going to be great. So in that, I'm trying to teach them to be great in sports, and for me, I do female sports. So I'm also trying to teach them to be great women as well. So I find myself battling that. Okay, let me teach you how to be a lady as well, and then also, if you are interested in this sport, you have to want to be great. Otherwise, you shouldn't be doing it. So I'm just kind of,
Where do you
listening to
think
what y'all are saying.
what do you think the disconnect is? Like you said, every 2-3 years. Why is that? Is it
Social
they're changing
media.
that quick?
I would say social media. I would say the interest that they take heed to at this point. Like it's a lot of stuff that don't matter. Like a lot of the girls right now are interested in image, body. How can I get this bigger butt? Those type of things are what I'm seeing daily. Is that the interest level is very like, it's driven in another direction. So whenever we have these conversations about I don't want to go off topic, but about marriage and all this and that, I'm like, I'm seeing this from the bottom up, and this conversation is almost it. We got a whole nother issue we have to deal with.
Are the kids
So
you responding? Do you think they're responding to some of the lessons you try to give them in general, or is
they
it
are,
a
yeah,
struggle?
and I have to do it individually based. So they do respond. I just have to find an approach. I do have to stay up on what I would say teenage lingo. You know what I mean? I have to actually get down to what they're interested in, so they're interested in what I'm talking about as well. So, like I say, every 3 to 5 years, I'm having to say, okay, well, what kind of approach can I take with these young ladies, as far as being women and being interested in sports or anything that you decide to do. So, I'm constantly trying to, redirect that. So,
You know all the dances, don't you?
yeah.
All the
TikTok,
TikTok dances and stuff.
TikTok has
Look,
taken over. TikTok has taken over my life.
that's how. Look, I kid you not. That's how I even found out about Chief Keef. Like my first CPS job was on the West Side, and the kids wanted to use Chief Keef music for their little basketball game, basketball intro. And I'm just in my mind, I'm like, that's the dude that's do the trap music. I don't want to hear this. This is bad. This is bad. Second quarter, all I hear is don't like, and I'm just don't like. Oh, okay, I like this one. And lo and behold, I done got downloaded 2 albums, some craziness like that. They rope you in. They
Yep,
rope you in.
yep, yep.
So, and in your estimation, why is it hard to get kids to want to be great? In terms of the athletic space, what has happened over the course of maybe your experience just in 13
It,
years?
it, it's,
What's the
de-
difference?
it's definitely technology. It's definitely technology. That's the only thing. Well, technology and what they see on TV as being cool, or is that. I mean, and that's a broad, like that's broad. When I say technology, that's any type of whatever new app is coming out, whatever new social media is coming out. That's what takes precedence. So I think what I need to do is try to get a couple of, I would say, cool kids, and get them on like TikTok challenges dealing with like sports related situations to make it look cool. Because right now, especially in like maybe female sports, that's not trending. You know what I mean? So you have to be trendy. I have to be creative at this point. So,
I
yeah,
also think it has to do with the lack of fathers in the home.
absolutely.
Because a lot of
Absolutely.
sports, like you want to impress your
Mhm.
dad. You're like, "What? Did you see that? Did you come to my game, Dad? Did you see?" But if Dad's not
Right.
there, it's like,
This is
I'll just play
that's
my
why
video
there
game.
are like zero Black American baseball players in baseball right now.
Mhm.
Baseball is a dad sport because the dad got to organize the league, the dad got to umpire, dad got to coach, dad got to do all that. If you don't got no dads doing it,
Preaching.
it ain't gonna happen.
Well, and so since I'm the athletic coordinator, I can get like, dibs on who to hire for certain sports. And honestly, I try to look more for men. I try to look more for men to coach because that's a different like dynamic for the girls. Like instead of just being a coach, he's also a father figure and he's also teaching you that ain't cute. What you're doing is not cute, and nobody's gonna want that. Like you have to come at another angle with that. So I
Yeah, I was
really
gonna
do.
say,
I like employing men to help train the young ladies in whatever sport. Work side by side with them so they can see a different aspect. Because if not, they'll never experience that male presence. And I noticed that especially with one of the coaches that I have now, they humble themselves around him. They are almost terrified of him, but in a good way. They don't even know what they need. You know what I mean? So, and I'm looking at him, and the girls are like, okay, yes, sir, yes, sir. I have to straighten up in front of this man because not only is that my coach, they also see it as like this is a father figure that I've never had.
I agree.
So,
I agree, and it makes you want to rise to the occasion.
mm-hmm.
we had coaches like Coach Carter, for example. That was like father figures, and so these are people that I still talk to this day. Not that they only care about getting us to college and doing the right stuff on the court, but mentored us and talked to us outside of basketball. Disciplined us on the court. They weren't actually our dads, but it's just an element of discipline. And I carry that stuff throughout my life. Playing basketball taught me a discipline. Because they enforced strict rules. They taught us how to be responsible men. So I carry that all the way up into my adulthood now. And I play basketball from 5 years old all the way up until college. And it's never changed. So like she said, that kind of stuff sticks with you when you have that kind of presence around.
It's hard to play that role now though, bro. Like the whole Coach Carter, you got to go to class, you got to get in these books, man. Like it. I think it was the last year I coached in CPS, man. Like I knew we were going to lose this kid. He was going to transfer to another school just because we were asking him to do the basics, which was show up to school on time and show up to practice on time. He couldn't even do that. And you can't do the whole, well, go run these laps no more. You're sued for that. You can't, the only thing you can take away is playing time. When you take away playing time, there's some coach down the street who will open his doors to him. So it's hard to play that role now. Like we hear that we need a lot more of that in the community, but unfortunately, a lot of these kids are coming from households where discipline and structure aren't exactly a priority. Matter of fact, they sabotage. They do it in the classroom. They sabotage that stuff. I was looking through my Facebook memories the other day when I was still working in CPS, whatever, and I said the difference between my generation and this generation now is if I went to in school, I was doing in-school suspension, monitoring that, and the kid's mom came to get him because he couldn't psychologically handle being in in-school suspension. Like if I called my mama and said I can't handle in-school suspension, I think my pops would have came up there mollywop me upside the head and say, sit here and shut up. We don't do that no more, bro. You don't even have to do violent way, you know what I'm saying? But just you have parents now who are rescuing their kids from discomfort, rescuing them from the things that they need to go through to get to greatness and reach their full potential. But we don't allow them to do that because we don't allow them pain. We don't allow them disappointment. We don't allow them stress. And they can't reach their full potential because we don't allow them to grow. And that's part of growth.
From your perspective, has the game suffered at that age, in the teenage years in terms of what the game looks like outside of just the basketball, like just overall, how has that impacted what the game looks like?
I mean,
who's that question to, Cal?
Go ahead, Hank. Okay. Go ahead, Hank. Yep.
No, go ahead, Abe, because mine's gonna be something a little bit different. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, like I said earlier, the game gonna tell you one way or the other. If you want to get to like that elite level, like elite high school basketball, go to college, do anything beyond that, you'll have to learn how to conform. You're gonna have to learn how to fit in. And a lot of these kids never learn that because from the time they 5th, 6th grade, you're the greatest thing ever. You're the greatest thing ever. Come play over here. Oh, that girl you hit over there, don't worry about that. You dropping 20 tonight. We sweep things under the rug. We don't discipline because we want their favor because they're a commodity to us at that age. But when they get to the level where, you have to conform, elite high school basketball, college basketball, professional leagues, you have to conform because it's a business and you can't do it, you will not last. And we don't set them up for that to understand that type of environment.
Man. Oh, go ahead.
What I was gonna say, man, we just some punk ass parents, man. We some punk ass parents. I said on another show, I'm gonna say it on this show. Some punk ass parents. Like I said, I was born in 1975, June 15th. I'm 46 years old. I'll be 47 come June 15th. I'm cut from a different cloth. I don't go for that bullshit. So I was telling y'all about challenging certain kids about soft and calling them say, "Be you playing soft? You're playing soft," and challenging their manhood, man. That gets at them. I was having a conversation with a kid that my son used to play with when he was in 8th grade playing high school. I seen him at the gym. You know what I'm saying? He's working out, doing this thing. So I went up and talked to him. He said, "Man, I asked him what are you doing? What is he doing now? He's not playing. He said he's tired of going to college. He's tired of going to school." I said, "I understand." And I told him, I said, "Well, do me a favor, go a couple more years and get a trade. You don't have to go to college, man. If it's just college is not your thing, you feel like doing it no more, don't feel like playing football no more, hey, go get a trade. Do it for a couple years, do what you gotta do." You know what I'm saying? But you still have to challenge these kids. I know we have to adjust a little bit due to times, and you can't certain things you can't say, you can say. But at the same time, you still got to have the fundamentals, man. You still got to be the Coach Carter, but just the way you do it. Certain languages you use and you don't use. You can still be tough on them, but just have to adjust the language you use towards them. That's all you have to do. You know what I'm saying?
Where
Still
do you
come with that
think
same.
that happened?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I was saying, where do you think that switch happened from where you say you were cut from a different cloth to the soft parenting? Where did that shift occur and why?
When we started, I may be able to speak to that. When we started giving kids participation trophies, and when we started to allow parents to have major say, just a parent off the bleachers have major say on kids' playing time. When parents started going to this head and that director and these things, and the media started getting strong where you could go and write a review or write something in, that's when all this stuff started happening. Because I kind of was part of a generation that didn't get all that stuff. The first place team got trophies. Everybody else got to go to the end of this, end of the season party, but only the first place team got trophies. And then there was an all-star team. It wasn't but 12 kids out of the whole league that got to play in the all-star traveling team. Everybody else had to go home. And that's just how it was. So whereas now, it's a lot more inclusive, which is good because it kind of helps the kids see each other as equals, I guess, for a little longer. But the will to win and the determination to be great, as you guys are maybe speaking to, may not be as serious, or it may not hit as hard as we may feel like it did once upon a time.
You gotta give him something to
Yeah,
play for.
because it's one of those things like you said. You can't have the parents dictate everything you do. At the end of the day, it's all about wins and losses. And I'm not going to play your child just because he's on the team, just to say he played. No, if your son's not going to do anything or your daughter's not going to do anything to help us win, I'm not going to play you. This ain't right. This ain't elementary. Everybody gets an upward bound trophy. No, this ain't what it is. No, I don't have to play. High school, I don't have to play you. I should be obligated to play you. If you earn your time, then I will play. But if you don't, then you'll sit over there, you be the best cheerleader on that damn piece of pie.
Hank, you know the best way to prove that? You know the best way to shut up those parents, bro? Put the kid in the game. Let them see how trash their kid are. Let them hang out there for 7-8 minutes, missing every damn shot they put up.
7-8 minutes? Oh, hell no.
Let them hang out there for about 12, 13 minutes,
no.
bro.
He said he get 2 possessions.
No, I'm just saying, it depends on the situation. But like, say you up 20 and you got a parent complaining, you know what I'm saying? Like, let them hang out there for about 12. No, we ain't gonna go 12 minutes. I'll let you hang out there for about 6-7 minutes.
No,
Turn the ball over a little bit. I need you to see how trash your child is. So the next time you fix your mouth to ask me about playing time, we can go ahead and relive that moment. That's what you want from me. That's what you're gonna get.
We're gonna have an open practice once a week. Once a week, we're gonna have an open practice. And then I'm gonna show you in that open practice why your damn Timmy don't play. Timmy ain't playing because it's the shit he does in practice. Or this the shit he performs when it's time to come in game situations. That's why little Timmy ain't playing. Because he does this bullshit right here. I can't have it in the game.
And look,
because game situations time when the game's on line, he gonna do this? No, we don't need this. He can't dribble. He turn the ball over before the defender even walks up on him. Oh, hell no. Hell no. He can't play. It just ain't in him. Now, the only reason why, because you was on the PTA board, is only why your child's on the team.
Exactly.
You're a hell of a booster, and you make great cookies for the bake sale. Or you're a hell of a fundraiser. That's the only reason why little Timmy's on the team. Other than that, your ass wouldn't be on the team. But little Timmy ain't gonna get in the game. No, he's not.
We had coaches, man, Hink, that talk back when I was playing. We had coaches that talk stuff to us like that, and they would bring you off your high horse, and they would tell you if you really wasn't, reaching your fullest potential, or quote unquote wasn't good enough. I had guys on my team that was 6'10" and 6'6" and 6'7", and as soon as they get cocky, I can hear my coach now. Like, oh, you think you hot stuff? They got 3 other guys just like you waiting at Boise State. You know what I'm saying? You're not doing nothing here.
Hey, look here. Every six months after the season, your season's 6 months long for in any sport you play. I don't care how. It's a 6 months. You get a 6-month scholarship. It's not a full year. It's a 6-month scholarship. After your season's over, you have a come to meet a Jesus moment with the coach, and he evaluate. He'll tell you what you did good. He'll tell you what you did bad. He'll tell you what you need to improve on. Shout out to Coach Houston Dunn. That's what he's gonna tell you. He gonna give that to you. Now, if you don't work on those things that you need to work on to improve, that scholarship's not guaranteed the next year because you got to come in and sign them papers, and them papers might not be on that desk. It might be a Greyhound bus ticket. Go home. We don't need you here. You're replaceable. That's what it is. And so if we're all trying to get these kids college ready, then get them college ready. Because that's the harsh reality. It's not going to say, oh, that's all right. Your mama and your daddy not going to help you continue on. Because guess what? These guys get paid. And if I don't win, I don't get paid. I don't have a job. And so I'm not going to let you be on my team just because you got a nice smile. Or you got a good fundraiser fund going. No, they ain't how those scholarships get off of that. You got to earn this. And so it should be on the same way on the high school level as well as in the middle school level. Now, elementary, whatever. Everybody gets to play. But once you get to that middle school level, All reality kicks in, baby.
Well, I mean, it's definitely been interesting. You know, I think that between what Giannis said about himself and what you guys have expressed, you know, it's definitely a lot of you have to want to get it, and there has to be a lot of discipline from the parents too, or in a lot of cases from the coaches. I think with the Milwaukee Bucks specifically, between their whole supporting cast and their coaching, I think they're all on the same page, which definitely helps. You know, when everybody's buying in and pulling the rope in the same direction, you know, it's easy to be focused on the greater goals when everybody's echoing the same thing. But, you know, I can imagine maybe if you got some individuals around you who are talking their own stuff, and then you might be the best player, that might get you to thinking about your own individual. So I'm sure the group has just as much impact on you as your own individual accolades. And it's just important to maybe try to make sure you got the best group around you to keep you focused. So, you know, we'll switch gears a little bit. There is a Masters tournament going on, and some guy named Tiger Woods decided to participate in it. I think the newsworthiness of this is that 14 months ago or so, Tiger Woods was in a near fatal single car accident or single car crash in Los Angeles, and he had to get emergency surgery where he had to get like some metal rods put into his leg to stabilize a bunch of breaks he had. He had to go through an entire recovery process. I mean, at one point they were, you know, worried about him not being able to walk again. And now here he is, you know, participating in the Masters. So, you know, Tiger Woods might be one of the most, if not the most recognizable golfer, you know, in the world right now, arguably of all time. And at one point he ushered in a brand new generation of golfers taking the course. And just curious on what you guys think, if it has any impact like it did, you know, 20 years ago, just to have Tiger out there again. You know, is his star permanently fallen? You know, do we care about Tiger like we once used to? Or, you know, and then what impact does that have on golf as a sport? You know, how do you guys feel?
Man, I wouldn't even watch golf if it wasn't for him. He's the only thing that drew my interest to it. So, hey, man, shout out to the man if he continue to play, do his thing, man. Whatever he does out there right now, it's just fun to see him out there again. It's just fun to see his name mentioned in a positive light. You know what I'm saying? I hate it when I seen all this bullshit go down with him, man. You know, he's out there having sex with the lady at the Waffle House or
The Perkins lady.
yeah, the Perkins lady, man. You know, I know a man wanted a good sandwich, but you know, he had to stuff more than just bread. You know what I'm saying? But hey, you had to do what you had to do. But you know, I hated seeing all that bad stuff come out from. But you know, it happens, man. It happens. But I'm glad to see right now, you know, his name's being spoke about in a good light. He's in a good place mentally, and it seems like physically he is too. You know, he's a lot better. You know, he's not the old Tiger, but you know, Tiger's still Tiger though, man. He's
Do you
entertaining.
think do you think he, now this is just me personally, do you think he has any kind of look of desperation to him? He looks a little bit, you know, like this is like he's trying to grab onto something because he's had a rough, you know, I mean, it feels like a rough 5 years or something like that. You know, he hasn't had a good go of it between his personal life and, you know, some of the issues he'd had in traffic. You know, this isn't his first traffic infraction. He was pulled over when he was under the influence of, you know, I believe it was some kind of medication. And so he's had some run-ins with the law and one way or the other. So, you know, Tiger Woods has, you know, was at one point was like a cultural icon. And now he's like a guy just trying to get back on, you know, back on the right track. So, you know, am I the only one who may feel that way? You know, what do you think?
Now, to me, he has nothing to prove, man. He has nothing to prove to anybody, man. I mean, the man's a Hall of Fame golfer right now, as it stands. He could retire now and he's in the Hall of Fame, you know, hands down, first ballot, whatever, however they do it. I don't know how to do it, but you know, he's a Hall of Fame golfer. So no, I don't think he has nothing to prove, man. I just think right now he's just enjoying life, man. Enjoy raising his kids. You know, he's got a son, man, that got a lot of mannerism just like him. I've seen some little clip in the tournament where his son is playing just like him, the same manners, same swagger, the way he walks, the way he acts, the way he swings. So man, I think he's just enjoying life, man, and playing the game he loves now. You know, there's no expectations on him anymore. You know, so now he's relaxed. He's in a good place. So he's just out there having fun, enjoying the game. I heard he's out there being a mentor to some of these younger golfers. educating them, teaching them, showing them. So man, that's the best part of life right there, man. When you play the game at the highest level, was able to achieve a lot of goals that you wanted to achieve. Now, say it's just all about having fun again. So I think he's doing that.
I agree. I agree with Hank. I think he's already like he has his legacy in place, and as far as reaching your full potential, I think he has in golf. So at this point, he doesn't have to. Like, I don't think he's expected to win, especially after recovering from rods.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Does he need to win to have any kind of impact at this point in his career?
I think it's cool that he's just playing. It's like he should get a participation trophy.
They handing them around like they're going out of style right now.
Man, I'm happy to see him out there. I honestly, I know this is gonna sound bad. I just think that's the place where he's gonna get in the least trouble, man. You know what I'm saying? I think downtime retired Tiger Woods is not a good look, man. All that free time to do he got to deal with those demons, man. If he hasn't dealt with them, that golf course is where he needs to be. You know what I mean? Like your boy Hank said, man, you can't be slumming with the Perkins waitress when you're worth like almost what was it worth $500,000 or $500 million almost, something like that. You can't slum with the Perkins waitress, man. But I think that it shows some sign of like structure and discipline that he's had in his life the last 14 months that he's able to get to this point where he can still play. And I just hope he stays on that path, I mean, we all imperfect human beings. I'm not judging Tiger. I mean, I don't think my life would be that much different if I had that amount of money. But for him, I think it's just he has to do something that keeps him structured, disciplined, and focused or whatever, man. Because that's people with his issues, you know what I'm saying? When they got free time, that's when things go left or whatever. So.
Do we think, in terms of being a mentor, does Tiger need to become like a public figure at all, or is he just good to be out there and that's motivating enough, or how do y'all feel on
that? I think he does because he actually shows a human side that we make mistakes. You know what I mean? People want to bash people over the mistakes they've made, but at the end of the day, like, there could be somebody that's suffering from the same issues, if you want to call it issues, that he had. So I think that he should definitely be a public figure.
Is he someone that we would take seriously culturally?
I was just going to say that. Does he have credibility at this point? You know what I mean? Like, before all this came out about him, like, yeah, you could put him in front of a classroom of high school students, or bring him into a corporate boardroom because his image reflected stability, and it reflected good choices, and it reflected achievement or whatever. Like, I don't know if you can do that now. Like, would you? I mean, it's Tiger Woods. So if I'm a school administrator, I'm like, no, we can't have Tiger Woods in here talking to these kids. Yes, clearly that would not be my answer. But like, I wonder, like, him front facing youth. I don't know. It depends on what accountability level he's taking for those issues, But if it's kind of like, well, all that happened, but I'm going back to playing golf, and by the way, I'm still Tiger Woods, and he can't sell no more Wheaties, man. He can't sell no more Wheaties.
Hey, I don't know, man. I mean, some of your best life lessons are mistakes.
No, I tell you what. No, I agree, and it was
some of your best life lessons are mistakes, and so he, with the mistakes he made, that's a life lesson in itself. And if he's open and honest about sharing them, I'll be more than willing to open my doors up to let him talk to any of the kids that I mentor, have conversations with, or talk to, because of the things he went to. He was a man who reached the highest level in the sport he loved to play. And he was able to rise from falling. I mean, I mean, he
Well, I
fell
guess what I'm
hard.
saying is that we're all brands, right? Whether we
Yes.
like to acknowledge it or not. Even sitting here on the Lapeef show, if you want to take the next step to improve your brand, you have to be conscious about what you do or whatever. So I'm just saying it just depends on what how people view his brand. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if he can sell Wheaties to children right now. Could he sell me golf clubs? Yeah. Could he tell me?
In
You know
that
what I'm
same
saying?
thought, David, with that same thought, Tiger was seen on the course with those. He didn't have on Nike shoes. He had on the, I believe they were FootJoy Packard shoes.
Right.
So, does that even mean anything?
No, I
Is
mean,
Nike impacted by that?
I mean, I don't know the status of his endorsement contract right now, but I think that's very damning that he's not wearing their stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I did not know that. That's very interesting. I mean,
yeah, it was said that his quote when he was asked about it, he said that he has quote, "I have very limited mobility now with the rods and plates and screws that are in my leg. I needed something different, something that allowed me to be more stable. That's what I've gone to do, and that's in relation to wearing the black foot joys instead of Nike." So do you think that's like,
what are those? Like, you telling me that like $1 billion Nike can't do that? Like, that's what I'm like. I don't like.
I don't know. It might be one of. Does Nike have a deal with FootJoy? I mean, are they a brand? Are they like a sister company?
I think they're
To
just like
Nike?
a
You never
therapeutic.
know.
I think they're just a therapeutic shoe. I think it's just shoes that, are made for people who are going through recovery, going through those kinds of issues with their feet and ankles and legs and whatnot. But I do think that when this story first broke, I did hear a lot of, just amateur golfers say that, Nike shoes for golfing are different. They feel different on your feet versus other shoes. And that this particular news isn't necessarily surprising. But I was surprised that Nike couldn't come up with anything for Tiger, or they just don't have anything ready to go for that. So even though maybe he doesn't necessarily have to win, maybe Tiger definitely still has some influence on these kinds of things. And so, I don't know how that'll impact Nike or if it will at all, or if this is just a one-off situation. So, but final thoughts on that, are you guys hoping for him? What's the future hold for Tiger? Is he just going to be a glorified golfing mentor where he's not really expected to win anymore? Or are we expecting him to get back to Serena Williams levels where he need to get back on top for us to really honor him like that?
I feel like as a celebrity or an athlete, when you make mistakes, they're more magnified. But when people judge you, they put you on this pedestal. But a lot of the things that he did, other people are doing, you just don't know that they did it. So to judge people based on their mistakes, if they're like repentant and they're willing to discuss it and go through whatever measures they have to heal from it and be open and honest about it, I don't think that should be held against you.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to. Oh, I'm sorry, did you still going?
No, I'm done.
Okay, I just want to see the man just out there have fun, man, doing what he does, and continue to write his redemption story. That's all I want to see. You know what I'm saying? See this brother, because you are black, Ty. I don't know whether you want to believe it or not. You are. I want to see this brother write his redemption story and continue to show people, hey, even though you make mistakes, even though you're dealing with some issues as far as drugs, alcohol, sex addiction, whatever the case may be, you can come back from this.
Yeah, but I know a lot of regular men who are dealing with drugs, alcohol, and sex addiction. But you want to judge Tiger for doing it just because we all know who he is?
Like we always do, people in the spotlight, they're gonna bring the spotlight on the issue that some people can't. Like you said, the common Joe is not gonna be able to bring the type of spotlight that needs to be brought on compared to Tiger. You need people like them celebrities to go through some stuff so the average man can say, okay, well, if he can do it, why can't I? You know what I'm saying? You need that.
His redemption
some
story
type of
would be better. Yeah, it would be
Mhm.
like, I went through it. I know you've grown through it. This is how I recovered from it.
Yeah. So I mean, you need situations like that to point to. So that's what I want to see from him. I'm not looking for him to win another Masters or any type of major, any type of small little golf tournament period. But just seeing him out there, enjoying the game, having fun, teaching and reaching others, and find, it was so funny. One of the people in the audience or the crowd, or the gallery, I don't know, I think that's what they call the gallery. A guy had a picture of him when he was at his low, a picture where he's, glazed eye, drunk, and I think it was his mug shot. And he was laughing. He seen a picture of it, and he laughed. Hey, sometimes you got to find enjoyment in your pain. Sometimes you got to find a silver lining in your worst moment. Sometimes you have to do that in order to keep pushing on and to realize, hey, I came a long way. I remember that picture. I remember that mugshot. I remember them bad times. But hey, I found some way to make it through. So
I didn't know they had that level of trolling at golf tournaments. I might actually want to go now. Like if this is how we living we just walk the course and troll the golfers with pictures and yell things. I might be a little more interested in seeing what foolishness happens, man. But I think my thing with Tiger that I took away the last couple of days, especially watching the way it's been covered, it's very interesting depending on the sport you play and how you carry yourself, how we sweep certain things under the rug. Because, boy, if this had been like an NBA player coming back for some of these circumstances, that would have been leading in for about 30 minutes before the game. Not one time during this Masters coverage have I heard about golf clubs through the window of the Escalade or perking matrices and vehicles tumbling down hills and things. I ain't heard nothing about it, bro. Nothing. But, like, I get a feeling if Tiger was a wide receiver for the Dolphins, we'd be looking at this a little differently. And I just wonder why that is. Is he covered in a little? Did they sprinkle a little whiteness on him because he's playing golf? Sprinkle a little whiteness on him because of the way he talks or carries himself? Like if Tiger Woods was an elite NFL wide receiver, a la Antonio Brown, who'd had these struggles. Think about how much we talked about that the weeks after all that stuff went down, and if he comes back into the league next year, what the conversation is going to be on ESPN or on SportsS, what the narrative is going to be. So I think people should be conscious of that, of like what we allow certain people of color who carry themselves certain ways or are covered in certain whitenesses, how much more forgiving they are as a culture. I find it very interesting.
Well, hey, even it didn't help OJ, so but that's a different story.
Yeah,
hey, but
I'm sure it depends on the level of accomplishment too. I mean, look at Josh Gordon. To your point, Avon, Josh Gordon has had substance abuse issues. He really didn't necessarily break any laws. He might have not been following the rules of the NFL, but he certainly didn't really break any laws. And so, as far as over the course of all his struggles, he's not really seen as a criminal. And yet, when we see him, we kind of view him out of this criminal kind of a lens. Versus how we view Tiger. We see Tiger as this sympathetic figure that we all hope can get back on the right track so we can all forget what happened versus, some of these other players who we're waiting on them to give us something else to talk about. Otherwise, we're going to keep bringing up their negative past. So I can definitely see what you're saying on that.
The thing about Tiger, he was a victim in that situation as far as the golf club to the window. So, I mean, you can maybe that's the reason why he's getting a pass on that. Now, the other time he was.
Come on,
all the views said by Hank are believed by Hank and are not a representation of him.
I know where Hank is going with this. I know where he's going with this. And the only reason I say I can't go there with you is how careless he handled his business, bro. Like, you have $500 million in the bank. You do not trick off with the Perkins waitress. They have services for that. You know what I'm saying? You can't do that,
Man,
bro.
Look, well, you know how it is. He was trying to get that cheap thrill. He tried to go to the Deshaun Watson route, man. They want to pay for the high class service. He tried to go cheap route and get the sandwich lady booty.
Hey, right. Well, before we wrap, I did want to get into a little bit of NBA playoff talk, more so just about these Bulls, and namely how the fans were booing the Bulls the other day. And so my question is, when your favorite team falls from grace, how do you handle it? should we be riding such a roller coaster with some of our favorite teams? A lot of times, these professional sports are trying to make us all just close our eyes until the playoffs start, and then then we should start taking it seriously, almost, or at least after their All-Star break. But we can't help but watch throughout the season, and the way the Eastern Conference is shaping up, the Bulls are going to set to play Boston. It's going to be Philadelphia versus Toronto. It'll be Milwaukee versus Brooklyn, maybe, the way it's standing, at least as of today. So, how is everything shaping up? I feel like it's going to be an exciting playoff push, but the Bulls, if they get pushed out in the first round, I wouldn't be surprised the way that they're playing. Memphis is looking like they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. The Phoenix Suns are looking like they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. So, how do you guys feel about when your favorite team starts to lose? Do you panic? Do you wait it out? What do you think?
I thought Brooklyn was gonna have to compete for that playing
They're
game.
in the play-in now, right? They may be in the
Yeah,
play-in.
yeah. I think they got to play for that playing game. So they may not make it. They may not. Brooklyn may not make it. So I mean, as far as falling for grace, because I'm gonna have to get out of here in a second. So I'm gonna go and answer this question before I go. I mean, it's tough. I mean, as far as being a Bulls fan, I feel like it's been since '99 since I legitimately we had a chance to really compete on the championship level, and it's been a long time. It's been a long time. So I don't know. I'm done. I'll just be done to the playoffs, and then we'll see what happens.
At this point, who's your favorite?
What'd you say, brother?
At this point, who you taking for the finals? Now, the way the season's ending, the way that we can see how the Western Conference is kind of shaping up, who would you have to predict if you had to go in today?
I'm gonna still go with who I said, man. Milwaukee and Phoenix, man, and I like Phoenix to win.
Avon, what are your thoughts? Oh, you had to spark another one. As soon as I brought up the Bulls, you had to spark you another L.
It should be Sage, for God's sakes. That's what it should be. You know what I mean? Like, but for me, I've always managed my expectations with my teams based on kind of like I take a macro look of it of, well, I'm not gonna let them stress me out because things could always be worse. You could be a Clippers fan. You know what I'm saying? Like I've had enjoyment. I've had you know what I'm saying, times of joy from the team I've rooted for before. So am I disappointed in the Bulls? Yeah, but I've been more disappointed by them, but I've been bringing me greater joy. So I don't really get out of body with it. I think the only time it bothers me is when I'm seeing either incompetence or a lack of effort. And I'm trying to decide right now what it is with the Bulls. Oh, and I'm taking the Milwaukee. They're the most complete team out there, man. I think we'll get a redo of Phoenix and Milwaukee.
And Kelly, how do you feel, just in general, when your favorite team is start out strong, they look like they're gonna dominate, you get the bragging and beating your chest, you're telling everybody else their team is garbage, and then towards the end, everything starts to fall apart on you. How do you handle that? Oh, you muted.
Can you hear me? I think that you should ride with your team regardless if you're a diehard. Win or lose, for better or for worse. Till death do us part.
It's honorable. That's how you feel? Just till the wheels fall off? That's how you feel?
That's what I mean, if you're a true fan, at what point do you give up on your team? When you move?
Well, I mean, even then you gotta remain loyal. So, hey, I guess we'll see how it goes. These playoffs are definitely going to be something exciting. So I'm looking forward to it. Even if the Bulls get knocked out, I think it'll still be an exciting time. So with that, we'll wrap. Before we go, we do want to send our thoughts, prayers, and condolences to the family of Dwayne Haskins. As we all may have heard, and maybe you didn't hear, the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback died early Saturday morning after he was struck by a dump truck when he was walking across the South Florida highway. It hasn't been reported on why he was on foot looking to cross the highway, but it seems that he was trying to dodge some traffic and unfortunately was struck by some of the traffic and died on the scene. So we definitely want to send thoughts and prayers to him. He was only 24 years old. You know, his NFL career definitely had some, you know, ups and downs, but, you know, him being on the Pittsburgh Steelers, he was in competition to try to be their starting quarterback. And, you know, it's just a tragic situation to be cut down so soon. So everyone here at the Lapeef Network definitely want to send our thoughts and prayers to his family. I believe he is survived by his parents and his wife. So just a tragic situation. And we definitely want to send our prayers to him on that.
Amen.
All right. We may not have Sage Talk today at 2 p.m. Because I believe where he is living, he's fighting some weather right now and his power might be out. So please keep Mr. Lee in our thoughts and prayers as well. I tried to reach out to him. We haven't heard back. So stay tuned for that. You'll see the thumbnail preview, but I don't believe at this point he'll be tuning in today, again, due to having some heavy weather. So definitely keep him in our thoughts and prayers as well. Hopefully, you know, it's just something that they're used to and the power situation will come back on. But with that, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Abe and Kelly, thank you guys for joining us. Hank, Andy, you know, everyone, all of our guests, Sway, really appreciate it.
Everybody going to Houston?
Yes, get your tickets. April 23rd, meet up in Houston.
2 weeks.
Yes, it's going to be for 2 weeks.
All right, I'm excited.
Yes, get your tickets. There's still some available. Again, shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to Tish Henley, who is the sponsor. And again, thank you guys for joining us today on another Lapeef Sports. And until then, peace.
See you guys later.